disappointed. Caught us in a 3 deep, and we got to stay with the over route. Didn't stay with the over route. Disappointed to give up that explosive play to start the game, obviously. But just got sloppy there at the end. Was very disappointed with that. And never pleased with giving up that many yards. But I thought the turnovers were great. Scoring on defense was great. Really proud of that. But we just got to clean some things up.
Well, talk about the challenge of dealing with Derrick Henry and
he's a really good football player. He's an elite back. He runs the ball extremely hard. He's going to make you tackling. They're going to force your secondary to make tackles in the game. We got to be able to tackle well in the game. We got to be able to gang tackle him. He's an elite player. He's an elite talent. And we certainly got our work cut out for us. They do a great job in the run game of scheming you up and making you tackle on the perimeter and making guys that aren't usually tackling a back of that size. You got to be able to tackle the guy in the open field. So we got our work cut out for us. Jay Coker's playing really well for him. That's been the key of them moving forward. Ridley's been outstanding. Stewart's been outstanding as two explosive playmakers on the perimeter. O.J. Howard's a mismatch issue for us. So we've got to be able to handle him in the coverage. So they've done a nice job.
Well, how important was it just to be able to give those guys down the line some reps?
Well, it's huge to be able to get those guys snaps. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to do that. To give those guys experience, and Darrell Williams and a lot of the guys up front, some secondary guys, and we're a little thin in the secondary right now. Obviously, Steven had to go out and play corner. He hadn't done that all year for us. So, but again, those that last quarter really to be able to get those guys in those situations and play and get those meaningful snaps in front of our crowds is very important. It's critical.
Is it worth it even when it means it doesn't? It kind of gets, as you said, sloppy at the end.
Yeah,
is
it's
it still
totally
worth?
worth it. You got to go play well. We got our opportunities to get off the field. We don't get off the field, so I'm extremely disappointed with that. We need to move forward.
Trey Matthews, obviously played a little bit yesterday. Is he close to returning to the starting lineup? Or?
Well, we'll continue to evaluate those guys through practice and how those guys prepare through the week, but I thought he did some good things Saturday.
Well, Stephen Roberts continues to take some steps forward. What did you see out of him?
He did some nice things for us. That made a nice play on a hot in the boundary there on the corner pressure. So I think again, continues to show up in the right spots. But again, his preparation off the field has helped his play on the field. So been very pleased with where he's continued to progress, and he's to have another good week.
Well, last year when you played Alabama, they kind of got you a few times. Does that actually help you knowing that you're playing the same coordinator, same thing going into this game, to see what they were able to do to you last year?
Different team, different situation. So there's no question you can't give up the explosive plays that we gave up a year ago. We need to continue to try and get some turnovers and things like that we were able to do in the ball game. And actually, until we wore out late in the game, played the runs decently well. But you can't give up explosive plays and expect to win.
How important has your relationship been with Nick Saban over the course of your career? Just what has that meant? What has that relationship meant to you?
Well, it's been outstanding. I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for the opportunities he gave me a long time ago at LSU. So, the opportunities he gave me as a young coach, as a position coach, and then as a coordinator, it certainly has had a huge impact on my career. There's no question about that.
How much did you speak with him about coming here last December?
Well, I didn't talk with him specifically about coming here, but we do talk a lot, and certainly not during the season, but just as far as just different things that are concerned, he's had a huge impact on my career, and I'll never forget that.
Well, obviously this game means a lot to everyone around the program, but how much more do you think it means for a guy like Cass? He's from here, Rudy as well. Guys are in-state guys, and they hear about it all the time when they go home.
Well, there's no doubt it's a huge game. It's the greatest rivalry in college football. When you talk in terms of the Iron Bowl and growing up in the South and understanding what this game means, especially in the state of Alabama. But good to hear these guys talk a little bit today in the meeting. It was good to hear those guys express themselves about how important this game is.
Well, you mentioned O.J. Howard. What does he do from a mismatch standpoint that concerns you?
Well, he runs vertically extremely well. He's got really good ball skills, and I think that Lane does a good job of putting him in situations to be successful. Use him in the passing game, obviously, but also does a nice job of sealing off in the run game and doing some things to use him in his athleticism. But you got to count him as a tight end, but he's also a guy that can flex out and hurt you in the passing game.
You mentioned how different they are from a year ago. Well, I mean, it's kind of an important point to stress. They had a mobile quarterback with the best wide receiver in the country, and now they're a more pocket passer with possibly the best running back in the country. Just how different are they to that?
Well, they're different, number one, because Fowler's not there, the fullback. So from a personnel standpoint, that's the biggest difference you see on tape. From a personnel grouping standpoint as a coach looking at it. But again, I still see a very mobile quarterback. Jake certainly has hurt a lot of teams with his legs, extending some plays. And you got a young emerging receiver in Ridley who's as talented a young man as we'll see this year. Stewart's an explosive guy down the field that's made a tremendous play against Tennessee to probably, to certainly, get them on the other side of the 50 to put them on the game-winning drive. So they've had some guys make some plays for them outside that certainly has come along for them. And having OJ last year back again this year, but there are some similarities from the quarterback styles as far as the legs are concerned. And he certainly has been able to extend some plays. And Derrick Henry's an outstanding back.
How's Trey Williams developing at linebacker?
He made a nice play on 3rd and short yesterday. And I think he continues to, his physicality's come on. That's been the most pleasing part, that he continues to take a step forward as far as that's concerned.
How about Rudy Ford? How's he doing?
Yeah, very productive night. Obviously the interception and the return, but continues to do a nice job in the run game, has improved his eye control as far as seeing the right things and covering down on the right things. And, I think that, again, the more snaps and reps he gets at the nickel is going to be better for him.
How different have things been with Carl back these last few games? Because while his production may not be an indicator of it, just obviously the sacks from everybody else has picked up. So just how much of a difference has it been?
Well, I think it's multiple things. I think Carlton Davis's emergence as a corner for us in the last 5 or 6 games has been huge. I think the ability of Carlton to play corner and moving Blake Countess to safety. We have not, till Blake was playing safety, have not gotten the production we need at the safety position. Blake's been a very productive player for us at the safety position. Rudy's been a much better player at nickel as opposed to safety. Jonathan Jones continues to do a nice job at the corner position. With that being said, Justin Garrett's done a nice job at the Mike linebacker position and moving Cass to defensive end. We've got much more production from those positions at both end positions, having Carl and Cass there. So I don't want to point at one guy and say that certainly Carl has been a huge addition for us, but I think it's a multiple thing across the board of getting guys in better spots that they've, played better in those situations.
Has Cass, make sure I understand, has Cass been playing Buck basically?
Mm-hmm.
And so Carl's been playing the other defensive end?
And Buck, depending on the package we have in the game.
You talk about Rudy at nickel. What is it about him in that move? Has he allowed his instincts to maybe take over a little bit more, or what have you seen out of him?
Well, I think, again, get closer to the line of scrimmage. He's a good blitzer. He's good in the run game. He's a very physical player. Obviously his speed shows up in some underneath routes yesterday in coverage. So I just feel like that, getting a guy closer to the line of scrimmage, a more physical player closer to the line, certainly as much as we're playing nickel, probably 70–80% of the game now. So in the last couple of weeks, really probably up and upwards of 90% of the game. So just been very productive for us.
As a former head coach in the league, how much intense pressure is there because of the high expectations and the level of competition you face every week? A lot of coaching changes and 1 or 2 in the SEC.
That's part of the deal. You sign up to be a coach. That's part of the deal. You want to be at a place where there are high expectations. It means you got a chance to win a championship.
Along those lines, Will, your contract is structured as it is, where you could leave here in 2 weeks rather easily. You mentioned that you want to be here for the long haul and speak recruiting. Just can you speak to the future beyond this week?
Well, I can't speak on recruiting specifically, but I think it's going very well. And my total focus is on the Iron Bowl. We got a big game Saturday.
But if your name comes up after this game, or anything that may arise.
My or no representative of Will Muschamp has been contacted about any job. I can assure you that.
Well, when you went back and looked at the play that Deshaun got ejected on, did he do anything wrong?
Well, yeah. I think that there's by letter of the law, there was the crown of the helmet. That's targeting. And so when you lower the crown of the helmet, it's gonna get called, and I thought it was a correct call.
What would an upset over Alabama on Saturday mean for the coaches and the players and just the way the season, has kind of progressed?
Well, it's a huge game. It's a rivalry game. It means so much to, Auburn and to our people. So, again, we just need to prepare the right way, prepare our players to play well in the game, and that's what it's going to take. We just really need to focus on Auburn and what we need to do to be successful.
Anything else?
All righty.
Thanks.